Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Transformations Podcast. I'm your host, Leo, and today I have the honor of having on as a guest Gerald Ernat, aka at Gerald Ernat in one word on Instagram, who is an RP strength coach and who has made his own transformation going from aspiring chef to a military sports dietitian and losing 70 pounds as well along the way. And doing a lot of changes in his own life. So definitely a story that I'm curious about and I want to hear more about. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Happy to be here, and it'll be a fun chat today.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you taking the time too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I have prepared a few questions for you, and then
Sure.
towards the end, I will also open up if there is anything that you want to ask me too. So I guess we'll jump right in.
Sure. I'm down. I'm down.
Great. So my first question is, I think, just starting at the beginning, I would like to hear more about your whole chef dream. That's
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I guess I just grew up around food a lot as a kid. Like I have some very fond memories of like cooking in the kitchen with like my grandmother and like family and stuff like that. I've always liked food. Obviously enjoy eating and trying out different stuff. I'm an adventurous eater. I've always been. And so uh we always had like the Food Network channel like on our television growing up too. So I was always really interested on, different cuisines, different ways to cook. And so I don't know, it was kind of an early interest of mine. And so in high school, I had this idea of this mindset of, okay, well, I think I want to be a chef. I wanna make some good food. I want to make tasty food that people are gonna like, and it brings people together and makes people feel good about themselves, and it's like comforting, right? And so I had this game plan of going to get a degree in like business and then going to culinary school afterwards to learn obviously about food and how to cook and how to do all the fun nerdy stuff when it comes to food and then open up my own restaurant. That was kind of the ultimate goal.
Cool. Cool. And that would have been, of course, cool in its own right, with a different direction, right? Uh, that and interesting. Okay. So I mean, growing up, I was I was a big kid or from the beginning already, right? So I
Yeah,
definitely enjoyed eating very early, and yeah, my grandma is an amazing cook. So
yeah. It's always a double-edged sword, right? Where it's like it's great, but it's also might not be so great for health either.
right, right. So and then when you combine that with so like I've inherited my dad's appetite, but he seems to have very quick metabolism somehow, and
Huh.
so just yeah. So he is that kind of guy that people talk about, that he eats whatever he wants and never gains weight, right? So
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, must be nice.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure he's not exactly like that. If you analyzed it, he probably just has a higher maintenance calories than average. And
Yeah, yeah. Maybe better like satiety hormones. Like maybe he just gets full feelings of fullness a little bit quicker than most people too. So he has
yeah,
the
yeah.
the
Plus,
ability to eat a little bit, more of what he wants, but in relation to what his actual needs are, he probably gets away with it, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But that's really interesting. So because of course now with what you do today, I'm not gonna say that they are opposites, but they are very different approaches to food, right? So I guess that's what fascinates me.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So how would you describe? So because of what you're doing now, I'm curious about your own personal relationship to food, right? So
sure.
so
Yeah, it's
because now
definitely
now it's
evolved.
functional, right? Mostly, it's in a way, or
Yeah, yeah, it's functional, but I also like to enjoy my life too, right? My wife likes to joke sometimes. She's like, "Oh, how many numbers are you eating today?" Because she sees me like kind of calculating macros and like on my phone sometimes. And I do like to track my calories. I do like to track my macros and all that fun stuff. But like we still have our date nights. We still have, those fun foods, and we can incorporate some more like less healthy, or people think like unclean foods, right, into your life, and can still maintain a healthy, nutritious lifestyle then. So how I kind of go about it now is, yeah, I track my calories, I track my macros, I try to not let it, completely revolve my life to completely revolve around it. But I am definitely making healthier, conscious decisions even when we are going out to eat, or when I don't have, my perfectly prepped meals in my fridge or in my backpack when I take to work. But yeah, I mean, my mindset is I pick, whole, minimally unprocessed foods for the most of the time, keeping it closer to single ingredient stuff. But I'm still seasoning my foods to make it tasty and make it enjoyable as well. I'm just combining those. And I think that's what really interested me in, first becoming a chef and then becoming a dietitian, is like, hey, I can blend both of these for health, but then also enjoyment and comfort, and making things tasty and allowing for nutrition to enrich our lives, not take away from it. That's kind of one of my big mantras in this field is, hey, our nutrition and fitness is supposed to make our lives easier. It's supposed to make our lives more enjoyable and healthier and help us live longer than be an extra stressor or extra frustration in our lives.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think that's amazing. It's the whole it's a hard balance thing in life, right? So for me, I see myself as a food addict. Okay. So that's the way I see myself, to be able to kind of manage my own life in the best way. And that means that I intentionally choose foods which I like the taste of, but that allow me to also say, okay, this is not that good that I wanna overeat it, right?
Sure, sure.
So I make very conscious choices on that side to choose foods which, I like them, okay, I'm okay with them, but it's not like, oh, I wanna have 10 times that, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a weird balance, right? You want to have stuff that you'll actually eat and enjoy, but you don't want it so tasty and so good that you're eating 10 times the servings that you should have, right?
yeah, because I'm definitely able of 10 times. That's the problem.
Yeah, I would definitely lump myself into that same boat, as like I can eat. I've always had an appetite, even when I've been bigger, when I've been, skinnier, and it's always a work in progress for some people.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So then again, okay, so we talked about your dream, we talked about the different relationship to food, but so how did it come about that you wanted to get into nutrition from the other side, I guess?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
how did that change happen? How did it, yeah.
Sure. So, in high school, I was quite overweight. I was like over 250 pounds. That
Mhm.
the highest I ever saw on the scale, I think I was like 252. So I could have been, I don't know, anywhere give or take 6 pounds up or down from that on an average, right? So I kind of got fed up with myself after I graduated high school, and wanted to make a change. And so I started just Googling, YouTubing, anything and everything nutrition related to try and lose weight. And so I came across some really, really great advice. Came across some not so great advice, and thankfully I was able to sift through more of like the BS and the not so great advice, and pick some good decisions and get a game plan going so I could lose some weight. So, um, over the like 3, 4 months of the summer after I graduated, I lost 70-ish pounds, 70 plus pounds.
That's
I went
amazing.
over 250 to 185 pounds. And so I'm 6'3", so I'm not a very, very short person. So 185 on me was quite skinny, and I didn't have much muscle at all.
Right.
Uh, but I had a game plan. I was really, really motivated and disciplined to make a change, and I made it work. And so what I did is I figured out a nutrition game plan that I just stuck with every single day. And then my exercise method that really helped me just stay more active was playing basketball. Basketball has always been like my favorite sport. It was kind of my first passion before chef and nutrition and food was. And so really, really enjoyed playing basketball. I played it pretty much every day or as much as I could. And that was a huge component of my initial fat loss journey then. So after that, I, lost a bunch of weight. I was 185 pounds soaking wet, feeling real skinny, going into my freshman year in college, and I was like, okay, hey, I think I really need to start putting on some muscle. Not only for, like strength and the health benefits muscle provides, but also definitely wanted some vanity there, right? Like I was
Sure.
single at the time and wanted to get noticed from the ladies too. So but also just wanted to feel good.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And yeah, I think people who say that vanity is not a factor to fitness are somewhat lying to themselves.
Yeah, there's
So
definitely grains
it's
of
a
truth to
factor,
this,
right?
right?
It's yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I wanna feel good in my own body. I wanna feel good in my own skin, and lifting weights has definitely helped me do that. So I was thankful enough to work with. I had some good friends at the time that they were on the local baseball team with the college that I went to. I went to community college my first year, and so really great friends that I had in high school, and they played on the baseball team, and they were into bodybuilding and lifting weights, and so I tagged along, and they were a really great influence on my initial start. So I started off more bodybuilding, and then I caught the powerlifting bug in between there and started powerlifting. That developed into more strength sports, so I've competed in powerlifting meets, I've competed in strongman, I've competed in Scottish Highland Games.
Oh wow,
So I've
cool.
done a bunch of that stuff. And then now I'm kind of back to more bodybuilding stuff, just for body composition, hypertrophy goals that I have now. So it's kind of been a little bit of a evolution with my own fitness goals, but I'm back to more of my roots and my initial beginnings, and that's, just training to look good and get some more muscle on my body.
Right, right. Yeah. That's yeah, I mean myself, I'm working mostly on body composition
Yeah.
nowadays. And yeah, I don't know yet as of today if I'm gonna ever compete in bodybuilding.
Okay.
That's ambitious. I'm still kind of a late beginner, early intermediate, I guess.
Okay. Got plenty of
So
time. The stage will always be there, right?
yeah, yeah. So I am planning probably in 2027 to do a first trial prep
Hell yeah.
and just see what it feels and look like to get below 10%, I guess. And
Sure.
yeah, so yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, yeah.
For
And
sure.
I guess that will also tell me if it's something I want to pursue or not.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
that first kind of getting real lean diet is a good litmus test of being like, well, okay, I got pretty lean, but now I got to take a teeny tiny, well, not teeny tiny, but an extra step further of being like, okay, there's lean, and then there's holy crap, you're shredded lean, right?
Right, right. Yeah. So I have one of these at home body scans. You don't
Okay,
know, I don't know like how accurate it is. It's a bit hit or miss here or there. But
yeah,
so the lowest I was body fat wise, I was at 15.7 based on that.
cool.
Um, I probably started at around 65.
Wow, okay.
That
So you had you had
that's
a
my own
crazy
estimate.
transformation.
Yeah, that's my own estimate, right? So I was over 460 pounds, right? So
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So, and what do you sit at right now?
At the
Like
moment,
body weight wise and everything. So you were
yeah,
465-ish, and now what do you do now? Where are you at
at
now?
the moment I'm at around 230,
Okay,
and I would say I'm around 23% probably, fat,
gotcha.
maybe something like that.
Hey, that's
Uh,
astronomical difference, right? That's
yeah,
definitely a transformation.
yeah. So at my lowest I got to 193. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Which
gotcha.
is
And how
which
tall are
is
you?
I'm not very tall. I'm 5'9".
Okay.
Yeah,
Still,
yeah,
460 to 200, right? Like
right.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had to work hard for that, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So were you on the RP podcast before?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I
Yeah.
definitely listened to yours. I was like not sure if it was for sure or not, but I definitely listened to your podcast with Nick about how you had that crazy transformation. So kudos to you. Congrats. That's amazing, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we talk about yeah, food and the relationship to it, and then getting into training and changing your whole viewpoint on everything, I can relate to a lot of what you're
Yeah,
saying too, right? So
absolutely.
for me, I was never really somebody who trained or did sports or so on. I did like
Uh-huh.
a tiny bit of soccer early when I was a kid in school. Didn't really stick with that, and I did an attempt at doing some lifting weights and so on in one previous weightless attempt, right, a number of years ago.
Uh-huh.
But then I didn't really stick with that either. So now I've been lifting consistently for about, yeah, 2.5 years. Yeah,
Cool. Yeah,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
still, fresh, right?
Yeah.
Like 2.5 years, you got plenty of gains to be made. So that's super exciting.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm working on that, right? So yeah,
For sure. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Um, all right. So my next question, how did you get into the whole military thing? Because
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing, right? And it's yeah.
absolutely. It's definitely out of the ordinary as a dietitian. Typically, when people think of being a dietitian, you think of being in a hospital, being in like a food service sort of environment where you're making sure everything's stocked correctly and things like that. But I always wanted to be in more of a athletic population and helping people that are, focused on physical performance too. And so that was like ever since I decided I changed from wanting to be a chef to being a dietitian, I wanted to work with athletes or more of an athletic population. And so going into schooling, I really tried to specialize in taking that extra sports nutrition class or some extra curricular activities that were more athlete based. So I went to Illinois State for my bachelor's degree. And I worked with the football team. I've worked with the student athletes in there and helping them fuel for performance and stuff like that when I was getting my bachelor's. And then after that, I went on to get my master's degree at St. Louis University, which specialized in nutrition and physical performance. So it was a sports nutrition specific master's program then. So really wanted to work in more athletic populations. And after I got done with my master's, I graduated with that. I was obviously in the job market and looking at what I could potentially do. And I was, wanting to potentially go into collegiate sports. There's a lot of different internship and fellowship programs for that. And so I initially, uh, I actually had an interview and I interviewed to be a fellow for the nutrition department at University of Michigan. And so I was in the interview process with that, but then while I got a second interview with them, but in between the first interview and the second interview, I got a job offer for the military.
Hmm.
And so again, fellowship, which I'm like barely getting paid just to survive, versus, another job where I'm getting a pretty decent salary for a sports dietitian, especially just coming out of college. I took the sports dietitian route. And
Right.
so I moved to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and worked as a sports dietitian on a team of other healthcare professionals to help soldiers become healthier, better athletes, improve their body composition, and improve their performance. So I initially started with that, and then I kind of hopped around in between there and now with a couple other jobs. And so I ended back up with the military in the same program that was with when I first got into the military, and still doing the thing that I did right out of college.
Cool. Cool. Right. And yeah, that's amazing. And I heard quite a bit about what you do because I listened to your own episode on the
Oh yeah,
Redefining
thank you.
podcast, right? So, and that sounds really cool, what you do. And yeah, yeah. And I understand that you deal with a lot of different kind of people and their attitude to fitness and all of that.
For
It's
sure.
it's a spectrum, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just like general population, right? You
Yeah.
have you have soldiers that come in and they're like, I'm choosing the military for X, Y, and Z reasons, and it might not be fitness or nutrition or like health purposes, right? It's for, I don't know, oh, hey, this is the job I want. Hey, this is a stepping stone for me to get into a different college program, or to help with my tuition, or it's just a stable job, right? So there's a lot of other reasons people want to and do join the military. And so I have those individuals that maybe aren't as like health conscious, health focused, and then I have other people on the other end that they are, meatheads at the very least, right? They live in the gym, they like to work out 2, 3 times a day, they're really fitness oriented, they're tracking their macros, they have really high level goals of maybe getting into like special forces, or like the Army
Right.
Rangers, and like those ass kickers you hear about in the movies. They're kicking down doors and saving people from danger, right? So definitely two different opposite ends of the spectrum, and then of course everybody else in between. I work with really young soldiers, 17, 18 years old, and then much older individuals that have been around the block, have seen some stuff, and are quite quite very influential in the military aspect. Some very high enlisted like officers and higher ranking individuals too. So definitely different mindsets when it comes to nutrition between that 18-year-old guy that just that doesn't really know much or doesn't have a lot of experience in life, and then the 62-year-old general that comes and chats with me, that's like, hey, I have these priorities, I have a hectic life, the X, Y, and Z. These are more important things that I want to focus on for my health. So
Yeah, wow. Yeah, yeah, no, I can see how that can be some very different situations. And still at the end, everyone is a person, right? So they're
yeah.
an individual and they have their own struggles and they have yeah, their own goals and yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool that it's not just the same thing every single day. And of course, like there's some days and some weeks that, I find myself like, oh, I feel like all I talked about this week was, trying to help soldiers lose weight. But then there's other weeks and other times where it's just like, oh, I had a cool chat today about this person that's trying to run a marathon, or I had a cool chat about this person that's dealing with some diabetes, or some kind of health condition. I have this other person that wants to get into a selection for special forces. So there's some typical usual like goals that people have. A lot of it is weight loss, but then also there's other times where I'm like, this is fun. Like, okay, we're trying to build muscle, we're trying to gain some weight, we're trying to bulk up a little bit, or hey, I just want to fuel for the crazy athletic, like, performance goals that I have then too. So
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Um, okay. Okay. So I am curious a bit more actually as well about your own weight loss and that change, because um, we have touched a little bit on the fact that of course you just wanted to feel better, I guess, and just be more confident, right? And all
Mhm.
of that. Uh, in my own experience, whenever I've tried to lose weight just because I thought it was what I had to do for others, like just to be more, I don't know, accepted or liked, then
Kind of
it never
fit
really,
in.
yeah, it never really like stuck long term, right? So I think for me, what made me change the most was getting to the point of, yeah, I guess accepting who I was and then trying to improve from there, right? So
Mhm.
so would you say that for yourself you've had something similar long term, like that you've been like how I know that this is a personal and hard question, but like how is your own self-image in a way, right? And how do you see yourself, and how do you keep yourself motivated? And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I think, when I was much younger, I definitely dealt with some self-image issues, some confidence issues, and I think it definitely stemmed a lot for how I felt about myself, like body composition, like, self-image wise. And so with that, like I was a little bit more timid, a little bit more like kept to myself. Have always been more of that like people pleaser role of like, okay, I don't want to cause like confrontation. I don't feel like I want to, I'm very sensitive to other people's feelings, stuff like that. So, and I think I am for some of those aspects of things. Some of that stuff doesn't go away, but now after, figuring this stuff out and feeling like I have a little bit more of a little bit more of a control over what I'm trying to accomplish and my health. Uh, I am able to, I definitely have more confidence. I'm definitely able to speak with people like yourself on a podcast. 10 years ago, I would have laughed at the thought of doing something like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Now I'm speaking in front of hundreds of, soldiers at a time, talking about health and nutrition and having that confidence of like knowing what I'm talking about and trying to communicate some simple strategies for them to better understand and figure it out themselves then too. So uh, just kind of reflecting on where I've come from and like where I was, 10, 15 years ago, that's a huge confidence booster and be like, hey, look how far you came. Like this is awesome. So nutrition has definitely changed my life, not only physically, but like mentally, and has given me some really cool opportunities for my career, but then also probably has brought me some great situations outside of just like physical and outside of, even my profession that's nutrition related. Um, it's giving me more confidence just to walk up to someone and say, hey, like, you're wearing these shoes. Cool. I like them. How do you like them? Like just random stuff like that, Before I probably would just been a lot more keep to myself.
Wow, yeah, I love it. I love it. So no, it's great. It's great to see. I always love whenever people they feel more comfortable in their own skin, right? It's something I myself struggle with, right?
Hmm.
In many ways, I catch myself on some days where I still see myself as the 460-pound guy, right? So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I look in the mirror and that's still what I see in a way. And then some other day I'm feeling pretty good about myself, but it's so
Yeah.
it's there are ups and downs there, right? So
Absolutely. I'm the same way. There's definitely times where I feel like, I find myself being a little too hard on myself, and it's definitely important to take a step back and be like, hey, this is where you're at now. 12 years ago, whatever it was, that's like a crazy change, right?
yeah,
So giving yourself some grace and, kind of reminding yourself like, hey, you might not be exactly where you want to be, but at the end of the day, like this whole fitness and nutrition thing isn't, there's really no finish line, right? It's always a work in progress. There's
Yeah.
always something else that you could be doing. There's another aspect of fitness that you could improve upon. There's another part of your nutrition or body composition that you can tweak or focus on for a period of time. And, that cycle kind of rotates and it'll evolve over time, depending on you and your goals and where you're at in that life, in that period of your life.
Yeah, exactly. I do have this phrase that I use now and then, which is grateful but not satisfied. That's kind of my view on life, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, right? Like being thankful for what all the opportunities you've had and being thankful that you are, healthy, you are able to move around, you're
Yeah,
in shape, you don't have any sort of, greatly debilitating, physical ailment that, keeps you constrained to a wheelchair or you can't
right.
you can't walk by yourself, right? And so I have I have some good friends and I have like my sister, they're occupational therapists. So they're all about like functional movement and like just doing those activities of daily living. Uh, and so it's nice for them to sometimes remind me and be like, hey, like some people don't like we take for granted a lot of like just like, having a bowl of cereal in the morning. Some people don't have the privilege of doing that. They can't feed themselves. They can't wipe their own butt. They can't walk to the grocery store, right? And so those are some eye-opening moments that really tell you like, hey, you're doing much, much better than a lot of people, and you should be grateful for that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I mean, and that's close to my heart what you're saying because I honestly I could have been in a wheelchair. Like I mm, tore my ACL when I was like 440 pounds.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's tough to do when yeah.
Yeah,
Rehab
yeah,
is 10 times harder when you're holding extra weight, right?
yeah. And I also have basically no cartilage in my left knee, and and I've had meniscus injuries on both sides too. And yeah, yeah. So it's I've dealt with a lot of stuff with my knees. They are in not great shape,
Sure.
but I've managed to fight through that. And yeah, like even just today, I've walked 34,000 steps, right?
Holy cow, my
Yeah.
gosh. 34,000, what do you do? You just walk for hours on end?
So, it's yeah. And I have a record of 70,000 in a day. Yeah. So
That's nuts. Oh my. Some people don't get that in a month.
yeah, yeah.
Where
So
are you located?
I'm in Malmo, Sweden.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So it's evening here now. So yes,
Okay.
yes. So I've been walking most of the day. So
Do
otherwise
you
it
have
would
a
have.
car?
I don't have a car at the moment. No,
Okay, that's probably a huge influence. So you're walking literally everywhere.
I am. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and I have actually I have a walking group. So we met today, right? So
Oh, cool.
that was part of it. So I'm trying to involve more people, and just move around and yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, in the States we typically don't have that privilege of being able to walk everywhere
I know.
just
Yeah,
because everything's just so spread out. And so it definitely is tougher for some people, but like, my wonderful wife got me a nice walking pad for Christmas like a year or
cool.
two ago, and that has been an absolute game changer, especially living in the Pacific Northwest where it is just cold and rainy like 5, 6 months out of the year. So that has been a huge influence. It also definitely helps me personally that I work in a gym, like I work in a human
Right.
performance center. So I can step outside and there's treadmills and a turf and, barbells and squat racks just right out in front of me. So, uh,
Amazing.
you know, it it's great, but then also it's like, hey, you don't have any sort of excuse, dude. Like you can just walk outside after you're clocking out for the day and get in another 20-minute walk or get in a quick, 30-minute workout if you need to.
Yeah, yeah. It's a double-edged sword, I guess, as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, of course. Um, Okay, but my next thing I'm wondering is, what would you say, like, what are you chasing at the moment? What is something which is a goal that you have like in front of you? Like,
Yeah. Well, right now I'm really just focused on body composition, so I'm kind of maintaining right now, um, almost kind of like a recomp, right?
yeah,
So just training hard, pushing the volume a little bit more on some specific muscle groups. So right now I'm focused more on like chest and back growth. So pushing the volume on those, playing basketball a couple times a week if I can, just because it's something I really love and I could use some more cardio in my life. So just trying to be a little bit more well-rounded with my health and fitness and getting more cardio in. But then also like the hypertrophy is muscle building is always going to be my number one priority. So as of right now, I'm lifting 5 times a week with a focus on chest and back. So I use, shameless plug the RP hypertrophy app for that.
me too.
But
Yeah,
love it, love it.
yeah,
I was using the app before I even was a coach with RP, so
mhm,
I don't feel bad about plugging it because it's not that I'm just I obviously I'm not making money off of the RP app at all. I'm a coach, right? I make money off of coaching people, so
right.
but love the app for the tracking purposes, pushing chest and back volume. My legs are a little bit on the, they're definitely on the lower volume side because I am running and jumping frequently too. So just trying to manage that fatigue
Yeah,
alongside of it.
makes sense.
And then, so yeah, cardio once or twice a week. I get plenty of steps throughout the day. That's kind of my goals right now is just focusing on, you know, building muscle, but then also, just being overall healthy. If I want to go on a 3 mile run randomly, I can do that. And I'm not completely out of shape and sucking air. If I want to go get a training session in with a friend and lift some weights, I'm not feeling weak or feeling, scrawny in that aspect. So I just be pretty well rounded.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
What about yourself?
Yeah, so I have been working mostly on body composition, right? And so I am myself in I guess, a recomp phase. Um, so the way everything worked out is that I got to my lowest weight, but then I also had a bit of health issues that came with that. So I I had a couple of fainting episodes, and
Oh, geez.
I had gone a bit, I guess, too far in a way, or
Yeah.
too hard. So yeah, I did end up at the emergency room, and yeah,
Oh no.
yeah. So after that, I actually my body was screaming for calories.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for a couple of weeks, I just had to shove everything in and be able
Hmm.
to recover, right? So that's
With
how.
that comes a little bit of body weight gain kind of thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
with that, I went from somewhere around 195 to 225 in 2 weeks. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I decided that what was best for me at that point is to stay around that weight for a while. So
Yeah.
so that's why I am where I am at right now, right? So now I'm actually in my last month of that recomp phase. So I've been focusing just on s- yeah, just replacing as much fat with muscle as I can during
Mm,
this phase. I have a couple of my own body parts, like muscle groups, which I think are lagging behind, particularly my lats and my rear delts, and still working on my chest as well, which was quite a weak point to start with.
mm.
My legs are big and strong, so yeah, at least I have that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I'm working on body composition. After this month, I will enter a slow cut.
Okay.
So basically,
Taking it easy, yeah.
yeah. So my goal is gonna be then for the next 6 months, I'm gonna do a cut, but without focusing too much on the number on the scale. I'm actually focusing mostly on my waist circumference right now.
Love it. Cool.
So I'm aiming to get to that level of being at a waist which is less than half of my height, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
which for me would be about around 34 inches. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, for health purposes, that's fantastic, right? That's what
Yes.
so that's a really awesome goal to have.
Yeah. So my goal is to get there by the 1st of November.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now for myself. And yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. So I think we have covered a lot of good stuff, and this kind of leads me to my usual two last questions, which I
Okay.
normally have. And number one is that if there is anything that you would like to add about your own story, which you think will be yeah, valuable for people to hear and that you would like to share. And the second one is going to be if you have anything more that you would like to ask me, basically. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Yeah. I think kind of the like closing remarks, I guess, or like just messages, when it comes to nutrition and fitness, like I mentioned before, it's supposed to make life easier. It's supposed to make life better. And so if you're doing something regarding your nutrition plan or like your exercise program that you're just absolutely despising, there's other ways that we can go about it. Like there's compromise that you can have. If you're in the gym 7 days a week and you're absolutely dreading it, you can get nearly all the same results or very, very close to the same results by training 4 or 5 times a week, right? Um, you don't need to white knuckle your diet 24/7. You don't need to completely restrict the foods that you absolutely love to be healthy. Um, and I would rather a client be 90 to 95% on point 7 days a week than only 100% 2, 3 days a week, and the rest they're, going off the rails of whatever they want. So really it's all about sustainability, what works for you and your lifestyle, and how consistent you can be with that.
I completely agree. Yeah, that's a great point to make because that's my experience too, right? Is that I I even though I follow a pretty good plan, I don't have the perfect plan. I am pretty aware of several flaws in my nutrition. I'm pretty aware of several flaws in my training, and I kind of do what I know I can repeat, and that gets me results. So I do make some compromises as you're saying that,
Yeah.
that I'm aware of, but that I know are worth it because having a plan which is where everything on paper looks perfect and then you can only keep it for 2 weeks and then you give up, it doesn't give you any value actually.
Hmm.
So, but if you have a plan which is even 80-85% good, but you do it every single week, you you you're gonna do well.
Absolutely. Completely agree, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess my other questions for you is so like what was I guess I have two. So like what
Go
was
for it.
your huge weight loss transformation that did a while ago. So, like, what was probably the most influential thing that you did, nutrition or training wise, to help you achieve that goal? So, like, what was probably the biggest factor or biggest change you think that is the most valuable that you're continuing, like, you're still doing right now?
From a practical standpoint, meal prepping by far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing else comes close. So meal prepping is the ultimate cheat code. It's repeat meals which are similar all the time.
Mhm.
That's you can take that to the bank when it comes to
It's
getting
just
results.
streamlined, right? It takes no stress, frustration, effort really now after you have find like your couple go-to meals
Yeah.
that it's really getting rid of that like decision fatigue, right? Like
Yeah.
first world problems, right? Decision fatigue. But at the like it's a real thing. When you have too many options, I know for myself, like when I go and I have to go get like a new deodorant, right? And there's like 20,000 different options for deodorant. I hate it. I want like
Yeah.
three options, let me pick, and
Right.
I'll be good to go, right? It's kind of the same thing with nutrition for my mindset and like what you just mentioned too is like, hey, I have, a handful of good to go options that align with my goals, and I'm gonna take that to the bank until I get tired of it, and then it'll be five different new options, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. And it's the boring works, and I have no problem with doing the same things over and over again. And also my approach. I guess I haven't shared this so much before, but I know that many people they track their calories and macros daily, and of course, for example, the RP Diet Coach app is a great tool for that if you if you
Sure.
if you
Yeah.
want to use that, right? And uh, what I personally do, honestly, is that I buy groceries once a week, and I kind of know more or less my total calories for the week, so I don't track every gram every day.
Yeah.
But I have an approximate budget of calories for the week. I know where my protein is at more or less, and all of that. And that's what I do. And basically, I don't have anything else at home. I buy the groceries for the week, which is the meals I'm gonna eat for that week, and that's all I have, right? Besides condiments
Yeah.
and other stuff, and yeah, but
Sure.
and that has been working like a charm for me. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that
yeah,
you can accomplish the same thing. Like, I am not like when I work with soldiers, the very first thing I do is not calorie tracking. It's just finding a a just a routine that fits into their life.
yeah.
And then, down the road, if they are wanting to be more detailed and stuff, then we start tracking. But, first and foremost, it's just, okay, what are your meals looking like? How many meals a day are you having? And what are your portions at those meals? And we'll focus on that stuff before we get into all the numbers and figures of things. I I talk about like I treat nutrition a lot like training in that aspect of like if I wanted to run a marathon, day one I'm not going to run 26 miles,
Right,
right?
right,
Day one, I'm going to start with like a mile or two or three, right? I'm going to build that base and foundation. So then over time, I can start adding in more mileage, adding in more details. The same thing with nutrition. I have that base and foundation of this is how many meals a day I'm going to have. These are what the portions and amounts are looking like. I want to make sure I'm getting in plenty of fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and grains and starches, right? In the appropriate portions for the goals that I have. And then once I get that base and foundation, then we can get into the more details of the calories and macros and meal timing and supplements and all the other fun extracurriculars.
right. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, recently I've been experimenting myself, like with the ratios of fat and carbs a bit, and
Mhm.
all of that stuff. But if you at least have approximately the right amount of calories per day and a good amount of protein, you are a big part of the way there, right? And then you
Yeah.
can work on the other details. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I think those were the main questions I had for you. I love to hear that you got a system down that's working for you, and obviously it's going to continue working.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I I'm getting into on a small scale for now, but I'm getting into coaching myself, right? So I'm following a few clients right now, and my approach is to just start wherever they're at, right? So that's make small changes from their current routines. That's the starting point, and then we can optimize more from there, right? But so what can we do that's similar to what you're doing today, but it's a bit better, and then we go from there. So I think that's the best starting point for anyone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. All right. Then I guess we covered a lot of great points, and it was great to hear your story. And I think we have a lot of common experiences in a way, and viewpoints on things. So yeah. thank you so much for taking the time, Gerald.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being such a big supporter of, the RP team, but then also, following me and, offering for me to hop on here and chat about myself for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I'm very grateful to RP in general. So I'm very open with that, and both for the stuff I've learned myself from the channel because I have learned a lot, and
Mhm.
but also yeah, personally to both Nick Shaw and Dr. Mike for having me on the podcast and for helping me share my story a lot over the last few months and helping me
Yeah.
grow my presence. So yeah, I will always be
That's
grateful.
awesome.
Yeah.
They're great people. Everybody on RP they're just wonderful people from, the faces like Nick and Mike and, the Jared and the others to
Yeah.
a lot of the people on the back end that you might not have heard of. Like
Yeah.
everybody's so super nice and supportive and willing to help and it's I'm very thankful to be a part of the team too. So it's you definitely got some good people in your corner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So thank you so much again, and thank you for everyone else as well for watching and listening to this. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be wonderful.
All right. Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Okay. Bye.
See ya.
See you.